Okay, all right, well, before I share my screen, do my little spiel here. So as most of you know, part of Women Painters West's philanthropic mission is that each year we visit an art school and give scholarship awards to students. And the past several years, we've been going to Otis College of Art and Design. The students are very dedicated, the work is high quality, and the heads of the art department are very helpful in working with us. Um, I don't see Meg here, but or Kate, but anyway, I am thanking them, Meg Cranston and Kate Harding of Otis, because they have the students organize the work in such a way that it's like viewing an exhibition when we walk in, and it makes our job go so much more smoothly. And of course, it's always a challenge to narrow down the awards because there's so much good work. So um, yeah, so congratulations to those of you who got an award. And the scholarship committee is made up of the current president and past presidents of Women Painters West. And we work as a team to choose the awards. And I'd like to thank the people who participated on our committee this year. Jenny Bate, who's our president, Arlene Weinstock, Lynn Goodall, Diane Carpel, and June Phelps. This year we chose 4 students to receive awards, and I am going to share my screen. Wish me luck here. And this. Okay. The very first award is, as I said here, the Brenda Bag Award for Excellence in Water Media. And this is given by Gerald Bagg, whom I introduced a little while ago. And he gives this award in memory of his late wife, who was an excellent watercolor artist. And we appreciate him for that. So, do you want to say anything about your work? Where did she go?
Right here. I'm right here.
Okay, Melissa.
Yeah. Hi everyone. My name is Melissa Flamenco. Um, just a little bit of like my practice. I'm very into like community and revealing the connections within those relationships and community we have. And I use photography as like a reference to memory. And for this painting, it is my grandmother, but she passed. And around the time I was just kind of like missing her. And one day I went through like a USB I hadn't seen in maybe a few years, and I came across this photo. And the way I choose photos for the paintings are based on the color, the composition, and the environment that it's in. And I was really drawn to her dresses because she would handpick the fabric and she would make her own dresses, and I thought it was just a very good contrast with the green of the corn husk and her dress. But this painting was mainly me trying to reconnect with my grandmother that's been passed for maybe like 8 years. And when I paint um from the photos, it's also a process of me being able to explore and question like the connections that I choose to like grieve over, the ones that I lose and the ones that I love. So it was mainly for me to be with my grandmother who is no longer here. Yeah.
Thank you. It was a very
Thank you.
powerful piece in person. Seeing it in person, it's quite large and really beautiful. So congratulations to you.
Thank you so much.
And thank you for that explanation too.
Thank you.
Okay, so the next award just lots of glitches today. Okay. The next award is Emily Chow, and she's getting the Barbara Frankel Award. And Barbara Frankel was the head of the scholarship committee for 30 years. And she moved out of LA several years ago and funded this award. So, Emily, I know you're here. Do you want to say something about your work?
Yeah, of course. Hi, my name is Emily. I'm an animation major, but I'm minoring in painting. This work was inspired mostly from the concept of I was thinking, how could I visually represent the inside of my mind? The concept of mental illness and psychology is a very prominent thing in my life, and I wanted to shed a more positive light and perspective in this piece. So I was thinking, like, how could I make an environment where I could kind of travel inside of my mind? So that's the inspiration behind this. This is I think this is my third oil painting. I haven't done a lot of painting, but I really did fall in love with the media, so I intend to do a lot more of that. Thank you.
Wonderful. Well, you would never know that it was only your third oil painting. Beautiful job, and thank you for that. Okay, let's see if my slide share. Okay, we have two awards now that are given by Women Painters West, and Emma Jean Holmstrom has two pieces. So I'm going to show both of them to you and then go back to the first one. And Emma Jean, do you want to say something about your work?
Yeah. Hi. Thank you so much. Um, I this painting was a long process of rusting canvas, like using rusted objects to kind of create a print. And I'm working from photos of, I guess, three generations of family. I found these water damaged photographs in my aunt's belongings after she passed. Um, so I'm kind of painting these objects from these domestic spaces of like my great great grandmother. And I'm similar to Melissa, actually. I'm kind of reconnecting with these women in my life who've passed through their objects and their spaces. Um, yeah, and kind of exploring deterioration and time and kind of reconnecting with these people as well.
You know, we love this work because it's so out of the box in a way, your technique and the way that you portray a still life is very unique. Do you want to say anything about this? Here we go again. Do you want to say anything about this piece?
Oh yeah, I actually have it right there.
Oh,
This is like similar. I did this piece a little prior to the one that we just looked at, and I was again interested in time um and kind of movement through time. This is also from using photographic references. It's like a panoramic photo that was really messed up photographically. Just like there was several arms and kind of honing in on like this one photo of probably like 6, 7 different moments of time as this figure was like walking through a panoramic photo. I'm not very well adept at like talking about photography, but um
you're doing fine.
photograph. But yeah, just like exploring time and movements through time definitely inspired the larger work that we just looked at.
Okay. Well,
Yeah,
thank you very much and congratulations. Your work is
thank you so
beautiful.
much.
The last but not least award is Louis Barb, and he's getting a Women Painters West Award for Westchester. Louis,
Hi,
you're on.
yeah. Hi, everyone. Thank you for this opportunity. So, as I say, I'm from France, and I was at Otis for a semester as an exchange student. So, this exchange was a big jump into the void for me, and this painting is based on the studio people that I met, and I try to represent the Westchester neighborhood that is really next to the school. That is a really nice neighborhood where I used to walk before that I get a car. And I wanted to create this rooftop with all these people, a youth generation. And it was remind me a book of Bret Easton Ellis, less than zero, and it's about like the lost generation. And I like the fact that in that painting it looks like the people are waiting or watching something that we don't know. So yeah, that's it.
Wonderful work. You, I'm going to be sending each of you by email a certificate that you can either print out or save, or a certificate of your award. And all our best to all of you.
Thank you so much.
You're very welcome. I'm going to stop my share. I really apologize for the glitch. I've never had that happen, so I have to figure out to make sure it doesn't happen next time. But I'm stopping my share. Did that work?
That worked, yes.
Okay.
Okay, so now
Okay.
I need to not make you co-host.
Well, it doesn't matter. I can be co-host.
No, but I need to be able to give co-host position to Andrea Moni, and I can't find her on the screen right now. Oh, there you are. There you are. I'll make you co-host. Okay.
So let me just say that, you know, for everybody who's attending, we are, and the students in particular, we have a guest speaker now, and you're more than welcome to stay if you have the time. So just letting you know what's happening next.
Okay.
Okay.
So Andrea, are you ready to go? Do you want to unmute yourself?
There we go. Hello.
Okay, hello. Let's see if you can share your screen now.
Oh. Hold on a second now. Well, I'm sharing my screen. Hold on.
Okay. Okay. Okay, looks like you're in control. Anyway, so Annie, would you like to give Andrea a full introduction?
It will be a short introduction. I've known Andrea for maybe 10 years or something like this. We were together at OCA working, and I was interested in inviting her because it's very different than the other one. It's figurative, but it's very large scale paintings, and also she has a very interesting story to tell. Okay, so it's your turn, Andrea.
Take it away, Andrea, all yours.
Well, first of all, thank you, Annie, and thank you, Women's Painters West, for inviting me to present today. I love art, painting, anything to do with it, and so I love to be involved in any sort of way I can. I just will go through my screen. Let me make sure I can get to the next one. Just was going to tell you a little bit about my background. I have a bachelor's of art in business and marketing, really, but I was always been very artistic, and my parents didn't have lots of money, so when I was younger, I would go to thrift stores and create great outfits so that I looked better than my peers, and it was always just being creative, and I love anything to do with art or recycling or reinventing. Let's see. Then I became a national, when I started working, I worked for Estee Lauder, and I became a national makeup artist. So I went in a whole different direction and started to create art on people's faces. I was also very good at selling, so that's why I was sent all over. I met Leonard Lauder, Estee Lauder's son, and it was a lot of fun. And then later on, when I started having a family, I decided that I was going to go into study photography. And so I went into black and white photography. And this was back when we were using dark rooms. And I created a dark room in my home. And I started to do portfolios for models, and also take pictures of children, because I had young children. So it was just a natural, all black and white, and I would develop it myself. And then my husband, who is Argentine, he, at one point, we met coming back from Argentina. One time I was coming back and I met him on the plane. Anyways, we got married and we have 3 children. And at one point, when I was pregnant with the third, he decided he wanted to go back and live in Argentina. So we were in San Diego, loaded everything up, took everything to Argentina. And unfortunately, my darkroom equipment didn't work well with the difference in voltage. And also it was very expensive to get the materials. So I just started painting then. So I'd paint on anything I could find, cabinets, cabinet doors, or whatever I could find. And when the country crashed in 2001, I said, that's it. It was kind of dangerous. And so I packed everything up again and moved back with nothing. We had lost everything, my family and I. I came back with 3 children and had to start life all over again. And so I eventually got a job in nonprofits, but I kept on painting. And in order to send my daughter, eventually my oldest daughter, to college, I started to sell my paintings, and I sold the first one for $250 many years ago. Anyways, I've worked with I speak fluent Spanish, so I got a job working in a nonprofit, and I've also gone down to Mexico many times to teach women. I created a program called Go Fish, where we would bring materials for the women, and we would create art, and then I would sell them back in the United States, and then I would send them the money. It was very unsustainable. I thought they would take it on, but they just really liked doing the art. So that's what I found. It was really not really sustainable. So then I went and started studying with Tom Dowling. I studied drawing, figurative drawing, regular drawing. I studied figurative painting under Holly Topping, and sculpture and figurative sculpting, and just kind of went into that. My husband and I also built a business, and we have landscape design business. We sell specimen plants and trees, and I did the decor part. And that brings me to my next slide here. In 2015, I was at a home in which we had in Shady Canyon, actually, here in Orange County, where we had done the landscape and the outside and the inside. And we were at a dinner party that had a ethanol fueled lantern for light on the table. And one of the fuel was going out. And so the owner brought the bottle of ethanol to fill up the lantern. And this guest, who was a doctor, grabbed the bottle and said, well, here, I'll do it, I'm closer. And he didn't check to see that the flame was not out. And so he poured the ethanol onto the lamp, and the flame traveled up into the bottle, and I was sitting in a vintage dress across the table, and basically I was torched alive. So I went a major burn. I sustained burns all over my lower half of my body, and that's where I spent almost a month in the UCI ICU, debriding every single day on all kinds of drugs. So maybe this whole thing came out of that. But the work that I started to create that I was going to share with you is called Essence of Us. And we're going to see a little video next. Let's see, make it to the next screen. Oh, wait, I went backwards. Let's see, I hope I can run this. There we go. Enjoy.
The moment that I was engulfed with flame was one of the most frightening moments of my life. Days in ICU. Every day they would debride my skin in order to help the dead skin come off so that I could heal. They took me out, and that was something I needed desperately, because when you're in ICU, you're stuck there. Came up with this idea of helping other people that have gone through trauma heal through the process of art. The environment sort of takes over, which is part of the process. It's about letting go and collaborating not only with another person, but with the elements. One of my collaborators is legally blind. He sees things much softer, and he sees almost through a filter. He is able to see the essence of the people that he's with. Once I get back to my studio, I see things, messages, images in the canvas. We're all going to go through trauma and experience pain. But what are you going to do with it?
This is, are you seeing the painting? Because are you seeing all of the screen?
All of the screen, yeah. Can you, maybe, I think you had a thing for full screen.
I'm afraid to touch anything.
Yeah, let's just leave it.
Yeah, I don't,
Okay.
It's good.
you're gonna see all my stuff. But anyways, so this painting here was the painting. These are all you saw the size of the canvas. So I wanted to talk a little bit about the materials that I use because they're all non-toxic earth pigments. And I mix it because I, was trying to figure out how to do it so that I'm not using the binder that is toxic. So I created it with egg tempera. And we mix the paint when we're there. And some of the people, Kurt Weston is he's a great photographer, and Annie knows him, and maybe you all have maybe had some contact with him, but he was one of the OCA members, and he did the background for this piece. And basically the collaborator goes with me down, and there's somebody that has gone through trauma as well, or some sort of situation that of course Kurt had AIDS that caused him, the drugs caused him to be legally blind. And he's a phenomenal artist. And he came down and he did this film with me. And then he, throws the paint, he does what he does. I take the canvas back, dry it off, rinse it off. And then I have this background. And then on the background, I paint sort of their message. And I asked him what his message was. And it is, and it's the title of the painting, and light illuminates the darkness. And for him, if he has some light, he can see a little bit. The next collaborator another collaborator, this was actually the first painting that was done after my burn. And this painting was done in conjunction with a woman who she had lung cancer, and she managed to survive it for 13 years. And unfortunately, she lost her life two years ago. But she did this painting with me. And actually, it was so therapeutic for her that every time I didn't have somebody to do a painting with, she'd go, let's go do one, and we would go do another background. But this was the first one that really represented my position that I took after I was burned. And you can see the red is kind of where the flame hit me, and my message was, and this too shall pass. This one was a young man that has come from Iran with his family when he was very young, and his father deserted the mother and the two boys, and he, as a young man at 11, had to become the man of the house, and he never forgave his father. And his message was, and let go, and it's about forgiveness. And the amazing thing is if you see these shadows that were in the painting, they were there, and this area of the muzzle or whatever you call it on the horse was there. And when I typed in on the computer, like, symbolism for letting go, one of the symbols for letting go is a running horse. So this is what I mean. There's some other thing that happens when we do these. This is and break free. This one is really about a mother whose son is a drug addict, and she just said, she's very religious, and she said, well, thy will be done. And that was sort of her position. And this one is a very interesting story. This is a woman that she's written a book. Her name is Michelle Wolfenstieg. And when she was 13 years old, she had some sort of AVM, some sort of I guess it's a stroke, and she was left paralyzed on one half of her body. And they said that she would not make it until 30 years old. And later on, she she actually went, she had another incident and she got into a coma, and they were going to pull the whatever on extract her from what was keeping her alive. And she heard a voice and she said, you know what, I want you to go back and I want you to take care of the dead and dying. I have a job for you. And she woke up and the AVM was all gone. It's like a knot of nerves in the brain. And she's still paralyzed. She wrote a book, and she works for hospice, and she was able in Orange County to create one of the first hospice homes. And that's why she's grabbing her head. But when we were down at the water, all these red roses washed on shore. And that was kind of my message, that we were in the right track, because when people die, they go out to the ocean and throw the flowers, and they washed up on the canvas, and that's why the rose is in there. So anyways, just wondered if anybody has any questions, and then there's my contact information there if you want to get a hold of me.
What's the medium that you use?
So I just use, large linen or cotton canvas that's primed. And then we use this natural earth pigments that I have found. There's some in Europe and France, and they're like I say in Spanish, a polvo, a powder, and different colors. And I take those down with me to the ocean, and the people that are collaborating, they get to choose the colors. And a lot of the people that have done this have never painted a painting before. And then we use egg yolk and mix the powder with the egg yolk, and then there's the water of the ocean and whatever we find around us. And that's the materials. Then I take it home, I clean it off, and I finish off. Usually I finish off with oil paint.
And is the pigment or the paint dry before you introduce the ocean water?
Yes. I mean, when you mix it with, we make kind of a paste with the egg and the egg yolk. And it's and then we mix it with the water, and then the water comes and does its thing, and that creates the backgrounds. And I mean, like on this piece here, I mean, she wanted me to, she saw angel wings, and she's like, oh, I see angel wings. And I'm like, I'm not doing an angel. I'm not doing an angel. But I left it. I just put her figure, to the side so that you could see it. But I was just too, I don't know, kitsch to do an angel on there. But
so the collaboration part is the background, and the imagery that's on top of it is what you put on.
It's kind of my interpretation of their story, and then they tell me their message. So her message was, and he's with me always. It's a message
absolutely beautiful.
of love.
No.
Have you ever tried this with fresh water, or this is just a seawater?
No, you can
method.
You can do it with fresh water. You can do it with salt. If you've been a photographer, salt actually does fix things and hold things. But I have tried it, and just in my husband and I did one in Colorado with fresh water and wind instead of the ocean, and it was really cool too. It came out. It's in a very nice house in Vail. Anything else?
How many paintings a year do you think that you create in this method?
So I've done, I think I've done about 11. And then people ask me, well, how do you come across the people? And it's just this like this. I talk about it and people see it. and then they tell me their story, and just about everybody has you know, had some sort of something in their lives. And so it usually happens to be more women. Women are just, they share more and are more open to do that. But I would love to do more men. I would love to do children. And I provide all the materials. They do not provide anything, and they have the understanding that the piece is mine, because my goal is not really to sell these pieces, but to create a very deep body of work, which I hope someday will travel around. And the messages, my fantasy are that people will see it and they will read the message later on in life, and it will inspire them in some sort of way. And I would love to create a book about each collaborator and their stories, so that goes with the painting. I'm just not a very good writer, so I'm waiting for that to happen. It's, you know, you got to throw it out there, and then maybe it'll happen.
And
Andrea, and other Andrea, you have your hand up.
Yes. I was wondering if you do give a copy, a print, or giclée to the people you collaborated
first, with? So Michelle, the one of this, she wanted to buy a piece, and I said, oh, you know, I don't want it. I didn't want to make it about money. And then later on, I thought to myself that, oh, you know what, that might be a good idea, that I give, especially those that have participated, I give them a copy. I haven't done that yet, but I think that it would be correct to do that. Or I was hoping to do the book and then give them the book, and then they would have the whole thing. But it's a lot of work.
Okay.
And is the piece that is behind you, was that a collaborative piece as well?
Actually, this is an interesting story. I started the piece behind me after my burn, and the colors. So when you go through a burn, white is dead skin, and you try to get to that lovely red color, and that's why they debride you. They take off all your dead skin so that they can get to that, which is very painful. And I started off painting, I painted kind of like skin, and then I kind of covered it up. And so this is not a collaboration. It's a very large piece as well, though.
Do you have other bodies of work in addition to this one?
Yes,
Okay.
I do. I have mostly figurative pieces, and I have and some abstract stuff, and I just love to experiment. So I'm always working on things. I have a studio here in my home, and I also do sculpture, so I do all kinds of things. And I had the first exhibit of this happened to be right after we finished with COVID, and it was one of the first exhibitions that opened at the Orange. Well, it was the first exhibition at the Orange County Center for Contemporary Art, and we didn't even know if anybody was going to show up. People came, they had masks on, but it wasn't the kind of exposure, obviously, that I would have liked, because, you know, I had a lot of the people were there that were participants in this work, and, you know, the stories are so special. And because of COVID, it was very not so well attended. So I'm hoping to do it again, another exhibition someday soon.
Okay, do we have any other questions?
Okay.
Okay, well, I'd like to thank you very much for your wonderful presentation. And
sorry about my glitch.
Oh, it's okay. Well, I guess you can see it happened all the way along.
Yep.
Beautiful work.
I'm going to unshare my screen now, right?
Yes, yeah, and share your screen. Actually, yeah, there we go. Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, I'm going to stop recording now.
Thank you.
Thank
For
you.
having-
Beautiful work.
Thank you.
Beautiful
Thank you.
work.
Yes, thank you.
Thank you, Annie.
Very beautiful work.
Bye.